Hey everybody! I'm going to be reading chapter 34 of Sophia's War today. Let's go ahead and get started. The day following, Mr. Gain asked me to deliver a small parcel of books. Nothing unusual in that. What made me uneasy was that I was instructed to give them to a British officer, a sergeant cook. Moreover, the place for delivery was the coffee house near Peck Slip, the King's Crown. This, I instantly recalled, was Mr. Rivington's establishment, the one that Mr. Townsend secretly owned with the Tory printer. When I approached the King's Crown, parcel in hand, I hesitated. Women were not always welcome in such places. Besides, I could not push aside my conviction that I had been lured here by a plot concocted by Mr. Gain and Mr. Townsend. I don't mean to suggest I sensed bodily harm, yet if I had known then what was to be asked of me, I suspect I might not have taken one step within. The ground floor of the two-story wooden building was a large open room illuminated by lamps and candles which added to the heat of the day. Posts held up with ceilings, oak beams, and tables and Windsor chairs were set out at random. Brown wainscoting lined the walls. On these walls were tacked notices of merchant ship arrivals and departures along with cargoes and prices. Official proclamations pertaining to trade were there, along with a gaudy colored penny portrait of King George. At the far back of the room was an enclosed area where the coffee maker worked his large copper kettles, cooking the coffee. The drink was served in saucers, distributed by a waiter. At one table sat 3 British officers. At another, 2. Others sat alone. The British officers were talking loudly. A second group, they seemed to be merchants, kept their voices low. No one took notice of me. Uncertain, I approached the enclosed area, with its large window overlooking the room. Within, a man tended a fire. The smell of coffee was strong. "Yes, miss," said the man when I drew close. "How can I help you?" His face was pock-scarred and sweaty. "I have a parcel for Sergeant Cook." The man examined me with his squinty eyes and then pointed to a soldier sitting alone reading a newspaper. I approached him. "Sir," he glanced up. "Mr. Gain asked me to deliver this to you, sir." "Ah, yes," he said, and held out his hands. "Thank you. Much obliged." I handed him the parcel. He took it, set it on the tabletop, and resumed his reading, taking no more note of me. I stood confused and embarrassed. Was this all that was to happen? An errand? With a sense of being fooled and disappointed, I turned and moved toward the door. When I did, a man rose from the table nearest the door, Mr. Townsend. I halted immediately. "Miss Calderwood," he said with his customary bow, "I'm pleased to meet you." I glared at him. "Forgive me," he said, his low voice. "Mr. Gain suggested that you would be here on his behalf. I won't detain you for a moment." "Why did you want me to come here?" I demanded. "I wished you to know this place." "Why?" Instead of answering, he asked, "May I talk with you back to Mr. Gain? May I walk with you back to Mr. Gain? Sir, you may have tricked me into coming here, but I cannot control what you do." I stepped onto the cobblestone street. As Mr. Townsend kept by my side, I hastened on. He spoke shortly. "Miss Calderwood, why did you notice any difference between merchants and soldiers at the Crown?" "Their dress, obviously," I replied, aware that he was drawing me in. "And the soldiers talk loudly." "Exactly. Did you hear? They were talking about the fall of Charleston. The British think that the end of the war is near." "They have thought so for years. Their thoughts could be of value." "Not to me, sir." "But," he said softly, "I'm sure General Washington would like to know what they think." I halted and faced him with astonishment. "General Washington?" A quick finger to his lips. "Shh." I gawked at him. Mr. Townsend, what are you suggesting? Miss Calderwood, he said, his gaze firmer than I would have given him credit for. I'm not suggesting, I'm revealing a fact. You mean, I started to say, you are getting information for a quick hand of caution. Just say, here too, I am a sleeping partner. I could have a little doubt. Hold on. I could have little doubt he was telling me he was a spy. But all I said was, are Mr. Gain and Mr. Rivington both in this partnership? One hopes their public reputations proclaim otherwise. I said, you haven't answered my question, sir. It must suffice. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Miss Calderwood, I know about you, your father, your brother. Moreover, you have intimated to me that you would like to take some part in our struggle. Your reputation proclaims that you are a patriot, smart, quick, and with a superior memory. I felt like a stuck pig. Speak it out, sir, I cried with frustration, though fearful of his answer. How could I play a part? Last page. I must have spoken too loudly, for he glanced about and said, I think it would be better if we walked, and I beg you, lower your voice. Let's not draw attention. We went on without speaking. In time, he said, with the fall of Charleston, our situation is precarious. Miss Calderwood, you asked, how could I play a part in this struggle? I know of a way, he whispered. What would it be? His only answer was, I presume you will be at Mr. Gain's shop tomorrow. I nodded. Better to talk in private, he said. Good day, Miss Calderwood. And he went off. So the tables are kind of turning a little bit right now, and we're finding out that this fellow that we didn't know much about is perhaps a spy. So I'm looking forward to reading chapter 35 with you next time, and it's really short, so maybe I'll read 2 chapters the next time. All right, thank you for listening. I'll be posting some questions for you to answer about this chapter. Bye.